This podcast is part of Mishmash Media. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good. Welcome to another episode of Curbcast. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we're back after a couple of months, mate. Some things happened in our lives and something very special happened to you.
Yeah, I got married a couple of months ago, which was and is and will remain very awesome. A huge day. You were there to celebrate it with me. So
I was, yeah. I flew up with my wife to Sydney, and we saw your, we came to your reception, and it was wonderful. It was great to see you together. I mean, you two have been together for a long time, and it was great that you two finally tied the knot.
Yeah, we were supposed to get married during COVID, so it was awesome that it finally happened.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
a relief as well. It's one of those things you kind of have to experience, and it doesn't just happen at weddings or when people get married, but there's so much lead up and so much hype and so much anxiety leading up to the event, and then as soon as you say I do, and then you go to your reception or whatever you do afterwards, it's just all over. The next day you don't have to think about planning a wedding. It's just huge build up, and then just it's just like it's done. It's a strange, but it's an awesome feeling because I never want to plan another wedding in my life.
Likewise,
for many reasons. Obviously, I don't want to get married to anyone else, and also I just don't want to plan another wedding. Yeah. I mean, your wedding was pretty insane. You had to jig up a last minute wedding because of COVID restrictions. So yeah, COVID affected us and our weddings in different ways.
It did. Yeah. No, my one was absolutely batshit insane. It's too much to mention on the podcast.
Yeah,
the story is too big, but yeah, it was absolutely incredible, and I'm sure one that I certainly will never forget, and I guess one that people like yourself attended will never forget either.
I think both of our weddings were fantastic, and I'm glad that we were at each other's weddings. It's very lovely. Anyway, I think we can dispense with the wholesomeness because we're talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is the opposite of, let's talk about weddings and being at each other's friends' weddings and all the nice stuff. We're talking about the biggest asshole on earth, Larry David.
Larry David, indeed. And for those who are new to the podcast, Curbcast, so what we do is we speak about every episode scene by scene. We're massive Seinfeld fans, but we've never watched Curb, and we're watching them for the very first time. So we kind of give our takes scene by scene, and we give a bit of our opinion on what we think about Larry in the situation.
Yeah, we have a Seinfeld podcast that you can still listen to, and that was a bit of a different take, but this is just your standard episode by episode analysis. So we decided not to be original on Curbcast. Let's just stick with a tried and true formula.
Exactly, but the only thing is we're greenhorns, so we're watching these for the first time. That's the only thing. We're not seasoned Curb fans.
That's true. Yeah. That's the hook. We're Curb virgins.
Yeah, that's right. And we're from down under, as you can probably tell from our accents, for those who are new. So not many Australian Curb podcasts, as far as I'm aware.
No, I don't think there's any. Last time I checked, we're either from down under or we're the only Americans to ever do a good Australian accent.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we're from New York.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn and you're in Manhattan.
Exactly.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, cool. We've been practicing. That's why we took time off, so we could practice our Aussie accents, and I think it's paid off.
I think it has. Like in 3 months, we've come so far. We struggled to say g'day, and now we got the vernacular down.
Oh, totally. Yeah, love it.
Indeed. Anyway, we are reviewing Season 8, Episode 8, Car Periscope. A funny episode. I enjoyed it. Not a 5-star, but certainly a very solid Season 8 episode.
Yeah, I really like this episode as well. Some good laughs, some good guest stars as well.
Janice from The Sopranos.
Exactly. I can't remember the actress's name, but being a Sopranos fanatic, I always get a kick out of that. But yeah, just funny. I think my favorite part was just the visual of them driving in traffic when they were chasing the one-armed man, and the Periscope sliding left and right, just in this like crappy old Volvo. It was just a funny visual.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, lovely stunt coordination there.
Yeah,
it was really good. I could imagine they probably sealed off the roads just to shoot that scene. Something that Curb hasn't really done before.
That's actually a good point. Like a lot of you think about it now, or I just thought about it. A lot of Seinfeld happens in cars. There's a lot of episodes around cars or based in cars, or there's a lot of driving. Whereas Curb, not so much.
Not so much, no. But this one, I don't know, this one had I wouldn't say like a movie-like quality to it, that scene, but it was kind of like I could imagine like a 2000s action TV series, or maybe like a 90s one, and it had like a car chase like that.
Yeah. It was a bit, it wasn't as intense as your typical car chase scene, but it had some intensity that's not normal in Curb.
It was no Fast and Furious.
Exactly. Fast 10. Is that where we're up to now?
I think so, yeah. And the one where they went in space, wasn't that the last one? Yeah, something like that.
What?
I don't know. I've fallen off the wagon since Tokyo Drift. I've got no idea.
After Tokyo Drift, I don't care.
Nah, me either. Drift and shift.
I just like the fact that, you know, they approached some, I guess, like an engineer or like a car bodybuilder and said, yeah, we're doing this TV show called Curb Your Enthusiasm, and we need you to build a car, or we need you to cut a hole in the roof to build in this periscope, this sliding periscope. Whoever they approached to do that, I would have loved to have been in that room at that time, or on that phone call when, you know, they're trying to describe what they need from him. And they're like, you know, like a periscope? Yes, a periscope. Like
a car,
you know,
periscope.
Here's a mock, here's a visual, here's a concept drawing. Like, I don't know. I just think that would have been an interesting brief to have received if you're a bodybuilder or like a car bodybuilder. Whoever did that, I think that would have been a fun day.
Yeah, that would have been really fun. And it is fun, you know, seeing the periscope and Larry, you know, warming to the idea to invest in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we move on, we did get some fan mail during our hiatus. We got an email from Chad, so thank you very much, Chad. He says, I'll read verbatim. Dear Ivan and Stephen, I hope this email finds you well. I just wanted to take a quick moment to express how much I'm enjoying your Curb Your Enthusiasm podcast. As a huge fan of the show, I find your discussions to be a perfect complement to my viewing experience. Oh, that's really nice, Chad. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the insights and analysis you provide on each episode. Well, we do our best for first-time Curb watchers. And I love how you delve into the nuances of Larry David's humour and the intricacies of his relationships with the other characters. Wow, well, it sounds like we already have some experience in that, Steve, from our previous podcast.
I think so.
We've cut our teeth in another show. Listening to your podcast has not only enhanced my appreciation for Curb, but it's also helped me better understand and enjoy Larry's style of comedy in general. Wow, these are incredible accolades, Chad. Thank you so much. If you're listening to this episode, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Your podcast has become a regular part of my week, and I look forward to each new episode. Thank you for all your hard work you put into making such an entertaining and informative show. Keep up the great work. Can't wait for future episodes. So yeah, we seem to have many people who email us, Steve, saying that we are part of their day. Like there might be, I think one time we had a guy who was a truck driver, and you know he'd drive like cross country in America, and he'd listen to episodes, you know, while he was listening to us. So it's wonderful that people like Chad and others are a part of their daily lives. That's absolutely an honor and a privilege, and we thank you.
Yeah, you know, we see our download numbers, so we know that people are somewhere downloading and listening to us. But when people actually write to us to say, sort of describe in any detail of how we're part of their lives, it's always a bit of a trip, and it's, you know, it's just awesome and lovely. So yeah, thank you for writing and letting us know and telling us what you think. And we're just happy the fact that something that we find fun and enjoyable, because we're both Larry and Jerry and Curb and Seinfeld fans. If you get something from that, then that's just amazing. So yeah,
no, thank you. It's incredible. It's incredible when we get fan mail. And yes, and he was wondering when we'll be back, and we're back. So
yeah, here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, we're gonna finish off season 8, and I reckon get it back into season 9. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, it's important that we get back into it regularly, because
Indeed.
It was one of those things, you know, every couple of weeks we'd be like, hey, do you want to record? And then it wouldn't happen. Hey, do you want to record? No, it wouldn't happen. But finally we've pulled our fingers out and we've returned. And
yes, life got in the way, unfortunately, but life is pushed to the side at least for an hour a week. When
life got in the way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
Legend, Jeff Goldblum.
Curb finds a way.
You're supposed to say Curb finds a way. You're supposed to put that like that.
Oh yeah.
Like he's trying to figure out the last part.
Yeah.
Curb finds a way.
Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. We have an email address, curbcastpod@gmail.com. We're on all forms of social media as well. Check out those links in the show notes.
Oh, the show nuts too.
Why not? Nuts, yeah. The Curb testicles. Our handle on all of our social channels is curbcastpod. If you want to rate us or review us, you can do so on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you think. And if you want to spread the word, if you've got friends or family or anyone in your life who is a Curb fan, let them know about us. That would be amazing.
That would be incredible. Anyway, Season 8, Episode 8, Car Periscope, aired in the US on August 28th, 2011 on HBO for the first time. In this one, Larry and Jeff weigh an investment opportunity, and Wanda Sykes preempts Larry's training schedule. And a bit of trivia about the episode, Steve. Speaking of the lovely Wanda Sykes, this is her last appearance on the show up until this point. Yeah, so she's not in any... Well, as of recording now, you know, because they are doing... I think they're recording Season 12 right now of the show. Wanda is currently not not in any future episodes. So the last time we see her.
Oh, right. Okay. I've actually just started, well, a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I started watching a show called The Other Two. I think it's on Binge, which is an Australian streaming service. It's probably on other streaming services if you're not in Australia. And Wanda Sykes plays like a record label executive, like a marketing executive. Amazing show. And she's fantastic in that. It's
that's great.
Yeah, it's basically a show about these two siblings whose younger brother is like a overnight success, like popped up, basically like a Justin Bieber ripoff sort of story. And they're just like these sort of burnout, dead shit siblings who are always trying to like piggyback off his success and stuff. And like, just rather than make their own success, they just see him as a way to shortcut their own lives to a better place. And yeah, she plays like the marketing executive at the record label, and she's fantastic. So if you haven't seen it, The Other Two, great show. Highly recommend it. Yeah, really.
Yeah, I've got Binge as well, so I might check that out.
Yeah, and because my wife and I both work in the music industry, a lot of it's very relatable because it's just a lot of like awful people and shallow people and just money-driven jerks and stuff. So, I mean, it's funny regardless, but I guess we can relate to it on that extra level.
I could imagine in the industry, like something creative like that, lots of power plays, lots of backstabbing.
Lots of egos and just lots of like cynical marketing plans, things that like people sitting around talking about trending and social media and how much money this can make. It's just all it's obviously an exaggerated version of what it's really like, but it's not completely untrue either.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's funny. It's crazy when life imitates art, eh?
Yeah. Or art imitates life.
Art imitates life in this case, yes. I think we've talked about art imitating life at least several times on this podcast. I'm sure we have.
Yeah.
Anyway, scene 1 of Car Periscope. Larry is still in NYC. He's hailing for a taxi as a lady in front of him is doing the same. Larry gets upset at the lady gets upset at Larry for upstreaming as she gets a cab. But the lady says she doesn't care about Larry being in front. As she gets in the cab, she gives him the finger and the cab drives off. Larry looks on. So upstreaming, I don't know if it's a New York term or an American term, or never heard of it before, but the term upstreaming is when basically you go ahead of someone and you try and take a cab when the other person should be entitled to it.
Yeah, you're basically just stealing someone else's cab.
Basically.
Yeah, I think a scene like this would only make sense in New York. I've been to New York. People in New York are lovely. I've met people from New York. They're all lovely. But it's a bit of a stereotype that they're kind of like self-centered jerks and that they're only in it for themselves because it's such a cutthroat, fast-paced city and you kind of have to be just to survive. And I think, if this scene was filmed in, I don't know, even in LA, where, again, egos are, the stereotype is that everyone's got an ego. I feel like that this only works in New York, and it's, it's relying on that stereotype of New Yorkers of just like, I'm in it for me and fuck you for even talking to me. Like, I don't care about your problem. Yeah,
I've never heard of situations because LA is a lot more spread out, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
So taxis aren't really like a prominent feature of LA. Somewhere like New York, where Manhattan is like the main drag, literally like a city on an island.
Yeah.
It makes sense with the limited road space and parking spaces, etc.
Yeah.
So, it works well, yeah. Definitely something unique to a city like New York, and it works, yeah. And we kind of see the environment that Larry is in, like what he's up against.
Yeah, like he's the big arsehole fish in the LA pond, but in New York, he's just one of many arseholes. He's another schmo, another arsehole schmuck.
He is. And mind you, he's only in New York to kind of appease someone.
Yeah.
To try and save face. So he's not there for any reason necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so he's put it on himself to be there.
I just like how he's just being out arseholed. Like in LA, I feel like Larry would be the upstreamer.
Larry would be the top dog, yeah.
Yeah, whereas here, he's just being out arseholed by just regular people.
He's got to get a bit tougher.
Yeah.
In the next scene, Larry is running with his personal trainer in a park as they stop. The trainer says to do one more sprint, and he tries to push Larry, but Larry says he doesn't want to do it. They stop and agree to 2 p.m. at the same time tomorrow for another fitness session. The scene cuts to Larry and Jeff at the golf driving range. Larry is praising his trainer and that he helped with his shoulder issue. Jeff laments about trainers and he says he doesn't like being told what to do. And Larry jokingly says that's why he married Susie. As Larry still teases him about it. So Jeff basically, he says he's got enough people. He's basically implying that Susie, tells him enough what to do. He doesn't need anyone else to tell him what to do. Which is not understandable.
Yeah, I mean, he's not implying it. He's just saying it. He's saying point blank, you are under the thumb of your wife. And then Jeff has to sort of recalibrate what he says, and he's like, I don't want anyone else telling me what to do. Yeah.
Anyone else telling me what to do? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want
And
anyone.
Larry's
I don't want
giving him
anyone.
stick about
I don't
it.
want anyone more telling me what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry's giving him stick about it. It's
Yeah.
good. Jeff says that they have to go as he wants to bring Larry to what he calls a brilliant inventor. Larry claims that he himself is an inventor, but he just can't implement any ideas or go through with them. He gives an example of skis which you screw on, kind of like a pool cue that he came up with. Jeff calls Larry, quote unquote, an ideas man. Larry says that his skis are an invention, and Jeff says only if he goes ahead with the idea, if he creates it, which makes sense. I mean, how many thoughts have we had in our lives of concepts that have never been executed?
Yeah, an invention to me, when I think of an invention specifically, I like what that word means. It's something that actually exists, an executed idea. You know, an idea turns into an invention. So I think Jeff's right. If Larry built a prototype of his skis, then he would technically be an inventor because there's a physical thing that's real, that's tangible. But until that thing exists, it's just an idea.
It's just, yeah, exactly, yeah. So Larry isn't an inventor necessarily. No. Like, you can invent things in your head, but you're not an inventor.
Yeah, no, I think the word invention is like, you know, it's something that is real, like it's a physical thing. It's an idea turned into something tangible.
If anything, he's more of a conceptor.
Yeah, he's a conceptualizer, I think the word
Conceptualizer, there you go, yeah, conceptual artist.
Conceptor sounds like a transformer.
It does, doesn't it? That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Conceptor.
Concepticon or something.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's his transforming power. He just sits there and thinks of ideas.
Never executes them.
Yeah, he can't transform into anything, but he can sit there and he can just throw like random ideas at you.
He just forms.
Yeah, he just forms ideas.
None of this transforming stuff. Yeah.
On first thought, like obviously it's pulled apart as the episode goes on. Like it's sort of slowly just like the feasibility of Larry's skis is sort of slowly undone throughout the episode as people give their opinions. But when you just think about it, you know, for 5 seconds, you think that's actually not the worst idea. You know,
No.
I've never skied, but I've seen, you know, I've snowboarded a bit and I've seen people on ski fields carrying them around and they are awkward. You know, they're heavy, they're clunky. You've got to watch where you're going. You know, something that folds in half would actually make sense. But, you know, like I said, it's heavily discredited as the episode goes on of why it's not actually a good invention. But just on first thoughts, it's like, that's okay. Yeah, I can see why Larry thought of this idea and then, you know, held on to it.
Yeah, I could see it as well. But yeah, I think like they do mention like the skis just fall, you know, they can rip apart. Unless if like the screw-in bits are like heavily secured or reinforced.
Yeah.
I can see why there'd be a bit of a problem with that.
That's what I mean. Like when you actually drill down into the idea and think about the safety aspects, it doesn't really hold up. But just the top line thought of, a ski that's folds in half isn't the worst idea. But I think someone would have actually invented that if it was feasible in real life.
They would have, but yeah, no, I think we'll stick with the big bulky skis. You know, they're bigger to lug around, but they're safer.
Yeah, totally.
But no, you're absolutely right. Not the worst invention I've ever heard. Or the worst concept, no. Larry and Jeff are walking down the street as Larry says that a building in this street corner, like the street corner that they're walking through, is where he lost his virginity to. And Jeff says, "You're kidding me," you know. And Larry's like, "No. What was it? Susie Feldman or something? I think her name was. Not Susie. It was like someone like that, like a name like that."
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
Yeah, no, me either. But someone, he mentions the name, and Jeff's like, "Oh, awesome." And Larry's like, "That building right there." Oh, amazing. They enter the inventor's warehouse. The inventor, his name is Ira, gives them the concept of a car periscope. Larry says he came up with the idea of a car periscope a long time ago. Ira explains further as he shows them a prototype. Sorry, I said Larry came up with the idea, but then Jeff, they're basically saying you didn't go ahead with the idea. Like you just didn't proceed with it. Yeah. It's just a concept like we mentioned before.
Yep.
Ira explains further. He shows them the prototype. It's definitely a prototype. You can see it's not, that isn't an item for mass production. It's very Spartan.
Yeah, it's rough and ready.
It is, yeah, rough and ready. He shows them blueprints on how it works. Larry plays with a drawing compass as Jeff says that he was stabbed by one in the pencil end, and Jeff says if he was stabbed in the needle end, he doesn't even know if he'd be around. Oh shit, pretty fucking scary if you think about it. Those compasses though, I remember being kids, they used to, you had to be careful with those needles. Some people would get stabbed in the leg and stuff by bullies. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember, I can't remember specific incidences, but yeah, I can see them getting weaponized by kids for sure.
For sure, yeah. You stab some kid in the leg or something.
Yeah,
someone you don't like. Yeah, I could see it. School's almost like prison in a way, isn't it? Except you get to go home every day.
Yeah. But then you have
Depends what school you go to.
a boarding school. There you go. That's probably the closest thing to a prison.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Except there's
Yeah.
no cages around, no
true.
barbed wire. Yeah,
That's true. But you can't leave.
you can't leave. Yeah, it's like Hotel California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, you know how everyone for like the last 50 years has been trying to decode Hotel California. You know, like what does it mean, and you know all this.
Yeah, is it like heaven or purgatory or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's obviously just a boarding school.
It
And
is,
we're-
yeah.
we're
Hotel
cracked the code.
California private school.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if Don Henley, you know, like finally, you know, probably gets asked in every interview, you know, what does Hotel California mean? And he probably gives some vague response of like, oh, well, it means whatever you want it to mean, and it's up to the listener. But imagine, you know, one day he was just like, no, I just wrote it about a boarding school. It's not actually that deep. Just completely destroys like people's like the in-depth thoughts that they've had about it. He's just like, no, it's about a boarding school I went to.
I think even then people wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, they'd
people
be
would
like,
still be denying it.
What does
Yeah.
the boarding school mean? Does the boarding school mean purgatory? You know,
Yeah,
they still try and
exactly.
find depth in you know something very very not deep.
Is this a reference to a biblical passage? You know, we got to open the Bible and try and decode, you know, words where the sequence, the first letter of of each word in a paragraph, you know, is
Exactly.
CALIFO.
Yeah,
you know,
the Da Vinci
California.
Code. The Da Vinci
Yeah.
Code.
To unlock a song from what, the 70s?
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's like no, it's just about a boarding school.
Just about a boarding school. Yeah, it's fine. Or literally a hotel called California that
Yeah.
I went to in like 1962 or something. He's like, yeah, that's what I did. Well, the mystery will unravel itself one day, I'm sure.
I think so.
Larry suggests his screw-on ski idea to Ira, and he says it's not really an invention, Ira says, because it was just a concept, which we said before. Ira asks for $250,000 in seed money to get the project going as he goes to answer the phone. Larry and Jeff talk about it, and they ask if it's worth investing in, and Larry says it could be a scam or that sort of thing. You know, all these things that come up. Will it work? Will we lose our money? Will we not make a return? Because obviously when you're investing seed money into an idea or a project, you do want a return at a reasonable time.
Well,
So-
yeah, I mean that's the point of investing. You know,
That's right.
Not just to
Yeah.
help someone, but to it's a business decision.
It is, yeah. So you want to make like a return in a reasonable time frame, you know, like maybe in like a year or something, you know.
Yeah.
Get your money back plus more, you know.
That's it.
Yeah. Larry and Jeff are talking about the film. Is Sting a real movie, like The Sting? I thought it was like a made-up movie,
I
but
don't
it must
know.
be real. Must be like a 60s action movie or something. I've never heard of it. I've heard of the singer called Sting. I've heard of the wrestler called Sting, but I've never heard of the movie called Sting.
Neither have I.
No. But Jeff says, because they talk about, watching, you watch the first movie and then you watch the second movie. Jeff claims he's only seen the second installment of Sting, but never the first. And Larry says, you must be the only person in the world who's done that.
Okay,
Have you
well-
ever done that? Have you ever watched like a sequel to a film series and you've never seen the original? Or you've seen the sequel and then you watch the original? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I think that's happened. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that's happened.
Yeah. But Larry makes a real big deal about it.
Yeah.
A lady named Gabby walks in the door as Jeff and Larry are leaving and they greet. Gabby says that she is Ira's wife, and Larry looks back at Ira as they head off. And Larry says it was very nice to meet her as Ira and Gabby kiss and embrace.
Hi.
Hi.
Gabby.
Hi, Gabby. Jeff.
Jeff. Hi, nice
Hi,
to meet you.
Larry.
Larry, hi.
Hi.
Oh, I'm Ira's wife.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys like the invention?
Sure.
Yeah, great.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Very clever.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
it so cool? He is so talented.
Yeah, we're going to be thinking about it. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Sounds great.
I think we can make a lot of money with it, too.
I hope
Don't
so.
you?
Nice-
Me
nice
too.
meeting you. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Bye.
The scene cuts to Larry and Jeff outside, and Larry says that Ira is the right person for the job, as Ira picked a woman who has average looks, or he has quote-unquote integrity. So in the Curb universe, integrity is where you marry or you date someone who, is, I guess, average or, below average. Like you date them more for their personality. So Gabby is played by the actress who plays Janice in The Sopranos, by the way, which when I saw her on screen, I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. But it makes sense because they're both HBO shows. So
Yeah, totally.
and I think even in I watched next week's episode, and you do see Hesh from The Sopranos. He's in it as well. And you remember Mikey in
Yeah.
season 1? Yeah.
Mikey
Mikey's in
Cummings.
like that. He's in that flashback scene when they mock
Yeah.
Larry when he's
Yep.
nude. So he's one of those dudes. So yeah, no, it's cool that they bring like other HBO actors into the show.
Larry is very shallow. He tends to only date conventionally attractive women. So someone he sees as someone he's not attracted to, he sees that as a sign of integrity, which is just horrible.
It is, absolutely. It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good concept.
I think he thinks it's such a twisted logic because he thinks that he's being generous in his assessment of this guy, where it's just a case of, but his assessment is based on this horrible idea of like, well, if you're willing to marry someone I don't find attractive, that must mean you're a good guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's very, very shallow. And
yeah.
He even in a later scene, he even he stops business with his current accountant, his financial advisor because of his wife.
Yeah.
So Larry is very shallow in that regard.
Totally.
Susie is berating the boys in the car as they're driving with the periscope on the car on the way to a party. They get stuck in traffic as they implement the periscope. Jeff is looking into the periscope and he observes a garbage truck up ahead, and he tells Larry to go left as they go past the traffic, and they all celebrate and they're all very happy and impressed with the periscope, and Susie even gets to the point saying that this looks like a good idea, a good thing to invest in. So a very short scene, but we can establish that periscope, while it looks pretty dorky and like something out of a 60s, the 60s Batman TV series, it might be very useful, and even Susie's on board with it.
Yeah, and Susie's not an easy person to convince. She's usually automatically, by default, without even thinking, will call Jeff and Larry's schemes pretty stupid, and this is no different. But yeah, once it proves useful and they actually get through some traffic and avoid a garbage truck, she's convinced.
They are. Jeff is like, there's a garbage truck 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
Go left.
Yep.
It just shows that the periscope is such a terrific idea, but unfortunately in the end it doesn't quite play out for Larry.
No, it doesn't. I'm just thinking, I guess, most of the time, Larry and Jeff's schemes are pretty stupid. They don't work out. Or even if they're good, there's, some flaw in it that they disregard. It rarely ever works out because they're both dimwits in a way. But in this, I guess, their faith in another person's idea kind of makes sense. I feel like if they came up with the car periscope idea, in terms of, narrative, it would have failed. Because it's their idea, but them deciding to invest, them having the idea to invest in someone else's idea, obviously it doesn't work out, but off the bat, it's not a bad idea. The actual idea is solid. The execution, maybe not so much, and how it works out for Larry.
No. Yeah.
But I just think if it was their idea, if it germinated from Larry's mind, then, it just, for whatever reason, it wouldn't have worked out. It would have been a failure from the start.
Yeah, well, you did say Larry is a conceptualizer. So, he would have just come up with the concept, but he would never have invented it anyway.
No, that's true. He doesn't have the skills. He's not an engineer or, a fabricator or anything like that. But yeah. I just feel like the only reason it works out for them is because it's someone else's idea.
Yeah, and they put a lot of faith in. And in theory, it is a good idea. But,
I think so. I don't think it would be very applicable in the real world. But yeah, in theory, it's not the worst idea.
Yeah, and it just looks like something out of a Batman, the 60s Batman show.
It does, yeah. In the 60s, it would have been very futuristic. Now it just looks dumb.
Yeah, it's like something the Penguin would have looked into, when there's a Penguin Joker Catwoman, I can imagine a scene with the car and then Penguins, looking into the periscope. Batman is way ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think as well, because we were going to mention later that there's a reference to the TV series The Fugitive. I think it kind of plays into because there's that scene where Jeff uses the periscope while they chase the one-armed man. This is coming up later, but I feel like the periscope is something that would be in a 60s TV show, even something like The Fugitive. Yeah, it's very retro futuristic.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. I know exactly where your head's at.
They're at a party as well as with Susie as they're talking to Wanda. She says that she is in New York because LA was haunted with Larry and now New York is haunted with Larry. Jokingly says that. Larry brags about his trainer to the group and Wanda asks if he can refer her to him as she walks off. She jokes about her email. Larry asks, is it the same email? And then Wanda says, yep, I hate Larry, at AOL.com or something like that. Yeah, and everyone laughs. Henry, the host, greets Susie, Jeff, and Larry. Larry asks about his dad and how he's doing, and Henry says that he's moved his father into the back room of his apartment as he's not doing too well mentally. Larry reminds the group that Henry's father is Judge Carter Horn from a previous TV court show, as the group are very impressed. Henry walks off to mingle with other guests, as they can't believe who Henry's father is. Susie said she'd rush home every day to watch the show. Larry says he should go say hello to him, and he says that he thinks that it would be a nice thing to do. Larry says he should go say hello to him, as he thinks that it would be a nice gesture to do, and he wants to, unlike his, quote-unquote inventions, he wants to follow through with saying hello to Judge Horn. He walks off. I love when Susie says to Jeff, why does Larry have to project about doing nice stuff? Why doesn't he just do it? And Jeff's like, I don't know. It's like Jeff's defending Larry and Susie's like, why the fuck does he have to just like broadcast everything he does?
Yeah.
Which is true. I looked for Judge Horn. I tried looking for the show to see if it was a real thing, and no, it's a fictional show.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was might have been like the real actor. And a real show, but no. But I could imagine it was one of those, like, I think there was a show called, was it Night Court from like the 80s?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah, I could, or maybe like even like pre-Judge Judy. I could imagine it was like an 80s, like late 80s, early 90s court show. And yeah, Judge Horn like laid down the law, he gave his like harsh sentences.
No nonsense judge.
No nonsense judge, yeah. Kind of like Judge Judy, like what Judge Judy would have been inspired by.
Doesn't tolerate. Yeah, it doesn't abide fools.
No, it doesn't abide fools. And it sounds like a show that is similar to Judge Judy, because Judge Judy, I think, was broadcast during the day. It's a daytime show.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like Susie says she rushed home every day to watch from school to watch the show.
Right.
So I'm guessing, probably maybe like a 70s, 80s show.
Yep.
If I had to take a guess. And it was just like a daytime court show.
Yeah, sounds like a staple of American daytime TV at that time.
At that time, yeah, absolutely. And the defendants and plaintiffs were probably either actors or maybe real people who wanted to be on the show, It's probably a mix. A one-armed man is playing Scrabble with Judge Horn in his bedroom as Larry greets them. Larry says that he wishes that he had one hand to cuddle a woman. As he says he has to get the one-armed man says he has to go get something and asks Larry to take his place. Larry sits down to play Scrabble, and Larry says that his father loved Judge Horn, loved the show. Judge Horn says a racist remark, and he says, I'm just saying it in the context of, of the episode. He says a lot of K's and jigaboos watch the show, which shocks Larry. Henry walks in to check on them. Larry looks at a scorecard and thinks that Larry took advantage of his father at Scrabble. Larry and Horn give each other the finger as Larry walks out, and Larry claims it was the one-armed man that did it. And for those wondering, the one-armed man, it's actually a reference to an old TV show from the 60s or 70s called The Fugitive. A remake movie was done in the 90s starring Harrison Ford. And apparently it was about a man who was framed, and he saw a one-armed man, I think, kill his wife, I think it was, or murdered his wife and kids or something. And he always claimed it was a one-armed man, and they all think it was him. Yeah,
I love the movie remake from the 90s with Harrison Ford. It's a classic movie. And he's always banging on about a one-armed man, and no one believes him. And there's something to do with a doctor as well, like a doctor. I think he has to infiltrate a hospital he is a doctor.
Yeah, he's the doctor, Dr. Kimball, I think his name was.
Yeah, and he's got to get medical records to show that this one-armed man exists or something like that.
While he's being chased by the FBI or CIA or something, whatever it is.
FBI, which is
Tommy Lee Jones played
Tommy
by
Lee
the
Jones,
FBI.
And then there's the famous scene where he jumps from the waterfall.
From the dam,
From the dam,
From the dam, he jumps in. Yeah, that's right. I love that parody with Millhouse.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's like, and then the guy looks like Tommy Lee Jones, and then he's like, I don't care. And then Millhouse just goes, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's when I think Bart put him on America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think in an earlier scene, the FBI chase him through the playground. They drive through like playground equipment to get him. And Millhouse is like, oh no, not again.
Not again. He's like on the jungle gym. And they drive through.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but this is a parody of I think the 60s TV show, and the theme that plays when they chase the one-armed man later on is actually the theme from The Fugitive.
Oh,
from the 60s.
Okay.
So,
well, there you
go. Yeah, it's got a very 60s TV show vibe.
Yeah,
that song. Yeah, that theme. So yeah, very, very cool. So obviously a bit before our time, Stephen, but for some older listeners of the show, you'll probably know The Fugitive, and at least hear the theme song. We do get many people in the 40s, 50s, even 60s listening, so I'm sure you guys probably have at least heard of The Fugitive TV show. Yeah, or your parents watched it or something. So, very, very cool. Nice nod to the show. They're outside the room as Larry explains it was a one-armed man, like we mentioned before, who played with the dad. No one saw a one-armed man in the house. Larry says that Henry's father is racist, as Henry says that it is his dementia. Larry defends himself and denies that he did what he did to his father. As Henry asks him to leave, Larry exclaims that he'll find the one-armed man and hand him over as he walks out. So he's basically, he's not being chased by the FBI, but he's been seen in a bad light. He's been framed.
Yeah, he's trying to protect his reputation.
Yeah, well, what reputation? No, that's true. No, he wants at least among his friends. Yeah, he doesn't want to be seen as a guy taking advantage of a man with dementia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even though the man, is it dementia that's making him racist, or was Judge Horn always racist? Even on the show. I guess when you have dementia, like the truths of how they think come out, right?
Yeah, there's a reason why Larry compares it to being drunk. It's an unfiltered expression when he's like, it's not like he's just making this stuff up. That stuff's in there. Yeah, obviously these are thoughts and feelings he's had, and there's no inhibitions.
No inhibitions. No, he just unfiltered says it the way it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
The next day, Larry and Jeff are in the car, Ira's car, I should say, as Jeff is using the Periscope. Larry looks in and they spot the one-armed man as they track him down, as the fugitive TV theme plays in the background, like we mentioned before. And it's an incredible, like, a stunt sequence. I love how it's kind of like, I said it would be like a 90s or 2000s car scene, but I think it'd be more like a 60s, 70s car chase.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like Italian Job, like original Italian Job style car chase. Like really not as grandiose as that, but for a TV series, pretty big. They go another way. They go through like alleyways, side streets, all that sort of thing. They go through one-way streets. They're chasing the man down. It's a very well done scene, I should say. For a show like Curb, it was very well done. Larry almost hits the one-armed man, who hits the bonnet of the car, the front of the car, and he glares at Larry, and he escapes into the subway, and Larry is just disappointed they didn't catch the man. So yeah, very good sequence. Not one you come across too often on the show.
Yeah, no, I liked it.
Me too. One of my favourite parts of the episode. Larry takes a call from his trainer named Terry, who has to cancel. Larry asks if they can do 2 p.m. the next day, and Terry says that they'll work something out as he hangs up. The scene cuts to Larry with a meeting with his business manager, Nathan, and he says that he doesn't like the idea of Larry investing in the car Periscope. He says it's a terrible idea. He claims that one of his clients invested in screw-on skis, and Larry says that he came up with the idea of it. Nathan says that his client lost a lot of money on the invention. Larry says he believes in Ira as the manager's wife comes in. A very beautiful woman. He introduces her, Brittany, her name is, to Larry as she kisses the manager, confirms their plans for, I think they're going away on a trip or something. They're planning on, catching the cab to the airport, and she walks off. Larry is stunned at how beautiful Nathan's wife is, and he says that they just can't work together anymore.
Yep.
Nathan is stunned, and Larry says it defines his character and that Nathan has no depth, and he'll find someone else to handle his financial affairs as Larry walks out, and Nathan is just shocked.
Yeah, he just he severs their business relationship straight away. She comes in and she mentions that they're going to the Hamptons, by the way.
Oh, sorry, the Hamptons. Yes, yes.
Obviously for a weekend away or something, or maybe they've got a house down there. Larry just goes, "No, can't do it," and cuts it off and walks out.
That's right. Yeah,
and I love how
beautiful woman.
I love how he gives him the patronizing, "Oh, I'm sorry, it didn't work out, bud," and then he gives him the patronizing shoulder tap.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, taps him on the shoulder as he walks off, and Nathan's just like I shouldn't say he's stunned. He's just kind of like puzzled. He's like,
I think he's just very confused. Doesn't really know what happened.
He's like, you're going to take your hundreds of millions of dollars portfolio to someone else?
I would think that he would be joking. I'd be like, he's just having me on, but no, he's serious.
No, he's dead serious. And I could imagine a big client like that Nathan would want to hang on to. So he'd be pretty hard about leaving him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big chunk of commission for him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, I'd imagine Larry's probably one of his big clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Nathan. I guess I'll have to sell the Hamptons house then. Can't afford it anymore, buddy.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Jeff, Larry, Ira, and Gabby are at a Chinese restaurant as Larry and Jeff give them the seed money, and the couple are ecstatic. The boys say that they had lots of fun with it as Jeff leads Ira to his car outside to get the prototype back. Gabby is still eating, and she's eating quite an exorbitant amount of food. And she begins eating a plate of dumplings, and Larry says that he actually wanted to bring that food home. And Gabby says, well, the food's there to be eaten, so she eats it. Larry spots Henry eating nearby at a table, and Larry holds Gabby, pretending that they are a couple. And Henry initially is confused. Larry rests on her shoulder as Henry nods in approval, like implying that Henry thinks that Larry has integrity. Larry kisses Gabby's hand, I should say, and Larry says, why don't you go outside with the guys? And Gabby says, great idea. And she walks out of the restaurant. Henry goes up to Larry and greets him and asks about who that lady is. And Larry says that that's his girlfriend, and they've been seeing each other for a while, and he would marry her if she let him. Henry apologizes for misjudging Larry, and they make up for what happened, and Henry asks Larry if he can do a favor for him, and he's explaining what's happening as the scene transitions to what's happening. So in this universe, the Kirby universe, especially New York, integrity is a big part of someone's character.
Yeah, and what your partner looks like determines how much integrity you have, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Which to us is stupid, but in the Kirby universe, it's fun. Lots of things change hands, with integrity. So,
yeah.
As we've seen a couple of times. Larry is playing Scrabble in the park with Judge Horn. I'm guessing probably Central Park. Oh no, I think it was another park that Henry mentions. Like, he's explaining it as the scene transitions. He's playing Scrabble with Judge Horn in a park as Larry comes up with the word had, as in H-A-D. Judge asks if that is all that Larry can think of, and Larry says he's not good at Scrabble. Judge comes up with the word C-O-O-N. And he says the word directly to Larry. Larry says that's not a word, that's a racial epitaph, as Judge tells him that they are surrounded by them.
Yeah.
And he put half of them away in prison on his show. Oh, no.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't think, how we were saying before, like, was it the dementia or was he actually racist? I think this scene verifies that he's just an old racist.
Yeah, and he probably had pleasure on his show putting away.
Yeah, it sounded like something he enjoyed doing for sure.
He relished in it, yeah.
Totally.
It's pretty bad, but yeah. And he says he's surrounded by them, and he's just an old racist, basically.
Yeah, he's just an old racist fuck.
Old racist fuck who happens to be getting dementia.
Yep.
Larry spots Terry and Wanda running together, as Larry was meant to be with Terry. Larry asks what he's doing as 2 p.m. is supposed to be his time. Terry says that Wanda is paying him a bit more, and he said he's prioritized Wanda over him, very sheepishly, I should add, very embarrassingly. He's not confident about it. Terry apologizes and he runs off. Wanda and Larry begin arguing, and they don't know what to do. Like, how do they compromise? Larry said, I love this part. Larry suggests that Wanda should go to Judge Horn to make the decision, as Wanda recognizes Judge Horn from the show as well. And Larry says whatever Judge Horn says is the answer, as Judge looks at her in horror. So we don't see what happens, but we kind of know what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know what Judge is going to say. And
yeah, we know his determination is, we know what it is.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we know. Well, we find out in this scene. So Larry's at the cinema and he tells Terry on the phone that they work things out and then he'll see him tomorrow. So it sounds like Judge Horn said lots of racist stuff, and he said Larry should be prioritized.
Yeah.
And I could imagine Wanda's a fiery woman, so she probably yelled some stuff back. Your old bastard, she would have yelled crap like that as well. So it would have been a very heated exchange, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I don't imagine it would have gone down well.
No. Gabby takes a handful of Larry's popcorn and offers to hold the popcorn container while he goes to the bathroom, and Larry says he'll take it in the bathroom. Ira is confused, and Larry says he likes to munch and pee, and Gabby says that's disgusting, bringing popcorn into the bathroom. Gabby suspects that there could be a problem. Ira says he's uncomfortable with the situation, and he goes to hand back Larry's check as Larry and Gabby begin arguing. Larry says it's obvious that Ira has integrity, and Gabby says, "What did you say?" as she understands the term as well. She gets mad as Larry is trying to explain himself, and he's backing away, and he ends up on lined up against a movie poster, and he's throwing popcorn to her, and he says, "Take the popcorn, you can take it, take it, take it." He screams in anticipation for what Gabby has in store for him, and we see in the next scene that he has a sling on his right arm, so she probably dislocated his shoulder or something like that. I'm guessing it was probably something like that.
It got physical.
It got physical, but Gabby understands the concept, integrity as well, and she got very offended, and rightly so. Mm-hmm. Rightly so. So that's the end of Ira and Gabby's. Ira was so infuriated and offended that he was happy to give up $250K because of his integrity.
Yeah, I mean, and look, $250K for Larry's not it's a lot of money in and of itself, but for someone as wealthy as Larry, it's he can move on from that pretty quick.
So Ira obviously had enough integrity to give away $250,000, even though it was life-changing for him, and that shows that he's got lots of integrity.
Yeah,
even to throw that away.
Regardless of what Ira's wife looks like, I think he does have a lot of integrity. I think he
does.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, a very good guy. Yeah. Oh well. Hopefully Ira finds another investor, because the car Periscope is a good idea. I like it. Looks a bit dorky, but it's cool. Larry is in an arm sling and he's meeting with a new business manager, but this business manager is more risk averse, and he says he won't recommend Larry for inventions like screw-on skis. Larry suggests a car periscope. The manager says that the periscope is a multi-billion-dollar idea, unlike Nathan from before, who was totally against it. Larry puts his hand on his head as he can't believe, basically he's saying like he can't invest in the car periscope anymore, and it could have been a multi-billion-dollar idea. So had Ira gone ahead with the seed money, Larry and Jeff would have become billionaires.
Yeah.
So bit of a shame, and Larry realizes what he's missed out on due to his popcorn, his munch and pee idea.
Yeah, I mean, you see him slump in the chair, and he's like, oh,
yeah.
He realizes how much money he's lost.
How many billions he's lost, exactly. And Ira and Gabby would have made billions and had a good life as well.
Sure.
Larry looks at a photo of an average-looking woman and asks who the lady is in the photo. He says that it's his wife, and they met in college, and they've been married for 20 years, or they've been together for 20 years. Larry hires him on the spot. So, clearly the new manager has integrity. So, good for him. In the final scene, Larry is hailing a cab as the one-armed man walks past and sees him. Larry calls out to him, and Larry calls him out for what happened. Larry accuses the one-armed man of upstreaming as they fight for a cab, as the Fugitive theme song plays again. And remember, Larry has a sling in his arm as well. So he kind of looks like a one-armed man. You'll see what I mean. Judge Horn is walking out of his hotel room, or walking out of his apartment building, and the one-armed man accidentally knocks him over on the sidewalk near the sidewalk on the road as the one-armed man gets in the cab. Henry walks out seconds later. He's shocked at what happened. He asks his father who did this. The judge points to Larry and says it was the one-armed man, as Henry looks at Larry in shock, and Larry is standing there very confused. So, it's a lovely payoff at the end. It all culminated together nicely. Curb has a good habit of getting features from an episode and just culminating them into like one final payoff.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's a nice one. Nice example.
Yeah, I think it's something that Larry and Jerry, really honed in on Seinfeld, especially from around season 3 or 4, when the storyline started to get more complex, and they just got really good at coalescing multiple storylines into one kind of sweet spot where everything resolves itself or everything comes together. And then he's obviously carried that over to Curb. And I think, in some episodes of Curb, well, overall, I think Curb does it better than Seinfeld. Because I remember when we used to do the Seinfeld podcast, occasionally, maybe 1 out of every 3 or 4 episodes where there was multiple storylines, we'd say we don't think the payoff was that great, or, it didn't come together as well as we would have liked. Whereas with Curb, it does happen. I think he's gotten better at bringing it all together into just one scene that kind of resolves everything.
Yeah, I think as well, like comparing Seinfeld to Curb with the payoffs, I think because Curb was on HBO, and I think they've got more creative freedom and they got like less restrictions, whereas Seinfeld was kind of, in a box of what NBC and network television, like what they were allowed to do.
That's true.
So I think that probably had a part in it as well. But I agree. I think like Larry got better and better with writing, like with the payoffs at the end.
Yeah.
But the payoffs in Curb are like excellent. Like this last scene was great.
Totally.
It was very well done. Very great. Everything like coalesced right at the end. It was great. But overall, Car Periscope, I like this episode, Steve. I said before it's not a 5-star, but I enjoyed it. 4 Larrys out of 5. I like the Judge Horn storyline. I like the one-armed man. I love how it was like a reference to the Fugitive TV series as well. Wonderful. Yeah, and just the concept of integrity, another Curbism, if you will. I enjoyed Gabby as well. Good to see the actress who plays Janice in The Sopranos. I'm a big Sopranos nut like you, so it's good to see her as well. And overall enjoyable episode. What about you?
Yeah, I give it 3.5. I pretty much everything you said I agree with. I like just like I said at the top of this recording, the visual, just how the Periscope looked in the car. I just thought it was funny.
Yes.
And just the fact that it was in this crappy old Volvo made it even funnier. But yeah, solid episode. Larry and Jeff getting up to no good. Wanda was great. Judge Horn was great. Yeah, really good episode. Not an all-timer, but just really solid. Can't fault it, but it's a case of like, it's really good, but not great.
And there's better.
Yeah, totally.
There's better. But it definitely slots into season 8 very well.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. Anyway, thank you for listening. That was another episode of Curbcast. I hope you enjoyed it. It's great to be back after a little hiatus, after a few, life-changing events happened to both of us. Mostly good. So, it's good to be back on a regular schedule, and we'll be releasing future episodes every Friday morning, Australian time, usual time. So, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, or resubscribe if you jumped off during our hiatus. Please, we encourage you to jump back on, and you can find us on on any podcast service, and you can also find us on Patreon. You can support us financially there as well. All the links are in today's show notes.
That's right. Yeah, thank you for sticking with us through our little break. We hope you enjoy our return. I think I was a bit rusty, but I'll find my groove again. And look forward to doing it all again.
Yeah, you were just fine, buddy. You did great. It's like we've been recording for weeks.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And yeah, we're not going to, because usually we have breaks in between seasons, but because we had a break during season 8, we'll finish season 8 and we'll continue straight into season 9.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we'll have a next break, probably season 9 finale. But anyway, that's it. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we'll catch you next week for another episode of Curbcast. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is part of Mishmash Media, an independent podcast network. Follow us on social media at Mishmash Media AU or support us on Patreon. All those links are in the show notes.